Hey there, John with Heroes and Legends with another comic book haul. This is a pretty big haul. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to make a video in the last couple weeks, so I actually have 3 weeks worth of comic books here to look at. And basically, no excuses. It was just a matter of my other channel, Heroes and Legends MTG, was covering the release of Battle for Zendikar for Magic the Gathering, and just took a lot of time, so I haven't read any comics. In fact, I just opened the last couple boxes just now to kind of see what came in. So having said that, let's go through the haul, and there's quite a few books. Like I said, I'll go sort of fast, so this video is not too long, and I'll just kind of put these books in random order, so they're not by the week they came out necessarily, but these all came out over the last 3 weeks. So I'm going to start with a whole bunch of Valiant. If you watched the videos before, you kind of know how I feel about Valiant. I really like what they've done with the direction of their books, and they've really got some quality writers. So here's Ninjak number 7, and this is part of the Shadow Wars storyline. Next we have Ivar, the Time Walker, number 9. And this is part 1 of a new storyline ending history by Fred Van Lent, and he's done an incredible job. Fantastic writer. Good jumping on point if you haven't read the book before. And here's another Valiant book, and this is Raya what number is this in Raya? I don't see the number on here. I know they're up to around 7 or 8-ish. Sorry about that. It's weird. There's no number on the front of that. And I don't think there's any variant cover or anything, unless it's some sort of wraparound or something. But yeah, there's Raya. Book of Death, another Valiant book. And this one is number 3 of a 4-part miniseries. This is Robert Van Diddy. He writes Green Lantern over at DC. He's done a good job with that too. Next we have Unity, number 22. You notice a few of these books have been by Matt Kent. He's doing a lot of the writing over there too at Valiant. And number 6 for Bloodshot Reborn. This is Jeff Lemire. Jeff's amazing writer. He's done a lot of great independent stuff. A lot of stuff for Vertigo. He did a fantastic job on the New 52 launch of Animal Man. If you haven't read his Animal Man stuff, definitely pick that up. It was incredible. And he crossed over with Scott Snyder's Swamp Thing, which was also incredible. So a lot of people, I think, forget about those because they were around for a couple years, I guess, and they were actually pretty big when New 52 launched. But if you haven't read those, pick up those trades. They are incredible. And Jeff Lemire is doing an amazing job with Bloodshot as well. Alright, we got a Marvel book here. This is Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows, number 5. Yeah, I'm just ready for Spider-Man to reboot after Secret Wars at this point. I like Dan Slott. He's actually a really good writer. But I just kind of tired of, I guess, some of the Secret Wars side story stuff, because, none of it matters, because it's all going to be reset anyway. So, yeah, I'm ready for it to be reset. Basically, that's the story there. I won't bother picking that up, quite honestly. I just wait for Spider-Man. Batman number 44 by Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder has done incredible work. This is a issue, actually, that is... I don't want to say filler issue, because I don't really think that's fair, but it's got art by Jock, and also Brian Azzarello helped on this, so it feels like it is kind of between story arcs where they're bringing in some other talent to kind of help with the book so that they can focus on the next story arc type thing, but that's quite alright. I mean, Snyder's done amazing stuff on Batman. This is the 44th issue. I've mentioned in the last couple videos that Batman's come out that I haven't been super excited about the Jim Gordon Batman storyline, but I think Snyder makes it interesting. Of course, Greg Capullo, usually the artist, obviously taking an issue off so he can stay ahead, is amazing as well, but you get Jock in this issue, who is an incredible artist. So, yeah, definitely pick this one up, just if nothing else, to get the collaboration with Azzarello and Jock's work. Corvex Saga, and this is number 4. Another Secret Wars sort of tie-in sort of thing, but Abnett's an incredible writer, and I'm not buying a whole lot of these Secret Wars tie-ins, but I'm buying a few by writers that I really like. And this is the original Guardians of the Galaxy, the 70s and 90s lineup of the team. So I read a lot of their stuff in the 90s, so I kind of like this team. So I pick it up, and it's actually really well written. Outcast, and this is number 12. Let me line that up better. There we go. This is number 12, Robert Kirkman, and this is quite good. I mean, Kirkman's a great writer, and I kind of feel like there was a lot of hype around this book when it came out about a year ago. Just the fact that I guess maybe Kirkman's writing it, and Walking Dead was so big, people thought it would be a new series, and I remember hearing at some point that it was opted for television, but I haven't heard anything else about it, so I don't know. But yeah, regardless, I mean, if it is opted for television, especially with his name attached, it could become huge if it's AMC. But regardless, it's good. It's well written. I wouldn't pick it up just to speculate on the television show. It is a really good book. Next, we have Nameless, and this is number 5, yeah, of Nameless, and this is written by Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison, I've said this before, hit or miss. Like, I love his stuff. This is just one of his really unusual works, but I'm not hating it. So go figure. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting used to Grant Morrison. He writes incredible stuff sometimes, and then he writes stuff that's just completely like out there, off the wall, and you're like, what even is this? This really borders on the out there, off the wall. Basically, it's about a comet that's coming to destroy the Earth. There's kind of a makeshift team of astronauts that go out there to, try to figure out if there's a way to stop it. And kind of like Armageddon, I guess, except the comet is possessed by demons, and then it possesses the astronauts, and one of the astronauts is actually an occult expert, and that's why he's sent on the mission. And it's weird. It's real weird. So if you're into weird Grant Morrison, check it out. I actually kind of like it. I might be embarrassed to say. I don't know. This is usually when he goes out into Crazy Town, I usually jump off the train, but it's issue 5 and I'm still on the train, so I guess that says something. All right, Infinity Gauntlet. Speaking of unusual, I don't know a lot of work by Dustin Weaver. He's writing this, and this, of course, is another one of the tie-ins for Secret Wars. This is the 4th issue of this, and I picked it up because it was Infinity Gauntlet, and I like the old Infinity Gauntlet stories from the 90s, so I picked this up, and I like it, but it's just not what you expected at all. It's very unusual. Basically, you're in this kind of Secret Wars-esque Earth world that has been, basically post-apocalyptic sort of world, and it's all about this family like trying to survive in this world, and it almost feels Walking Dead-ish. No zombies, of course, but just the fact that there's a lot of bad people out there, and they're just trying to find a place to hide out and survive. And then all of a sudden Thanos just shows up, and he's looking for infinity gems on Earth. And like one of the little kids and one of the little girl finds an infinity gem, and Thanos is basically hanging out with them, but you feel like he's basically hanging out with them because he's going to steal the infinity gem, and it's weird. But I like it. It's much like Nameless. I haven't jumped off. It's just not what you expected. I guess you expect this big space opera like the Infinity Gauntlet was, with Silver Surfer and Adam Warlock and Thanos, and having some sort of fight over the infinity gems or whatever. But this is not that at all. It's very unique, and hey, creative way to tell a story, I guess, about Thanos and the Infinity Gems without making it what you normally see, kind of the old Jim Starlin, everyone's fighting for gems and action-based story. This is more human and interesting, so I like it. I might keep reading it. I think there's only a couple parts left. I want to say this is, I don't know if this is the last issue or if it's a 6-part. I feel like it might be a 6-part, but yeah, I'm going to definitely keep reading this one. All right, another Secret Wars tie-in. I say I don't like these, but I keep buying them. This one's Extinction Agenda. This is another really good one. This is by Guggenheim, and I didn't really like his Sinister, or Supreme, I'm sorry, Supreme, why is the name escaping me now? The Squadron Supreme. I didn't like his Squadron Supreme Secret Wars tie-in series. I read the first 2 issues and I dropped it. But I love the Extinction Agenda one. He's done a really good job with this one. And if you're a fan of 90s X-Men, you'll like this. It's pretty cool. And it just feels like an X-Men story. It's just a good X-Men story. So, it takes place in that Secret Wars universe again, which, I could take or leave, but definitely a cool storyline. A lot of the characters that I like that I haven't seen in a while kind of lead this one, and you get a lot of Havoc, Wolverines in this, and Rhines in it. So, cool cast of characters. Fight Club 2. So I've been talking about this for a few months now. This is issue number 5. So I don't know how many parts this is supposed to be. It's probably 6. I love this. I'll kind of talk briefly about it since I know I gushed over it in some other videos, but this is by the writer that wrote the original Fight Club novel, which of course turned into the movie. And this is the sequel that he's writing, but it's in comic book form for Dark Horse, and it's awesome. Everything you'd expect. It's like a sequel to the movie, and basically takes place in the future, and it's about the narrator trying to deal with his split personality, and Project Mayhem is still active and happening around him, and he's kind of oblivious to it, but his other personality still coming out and kind of running things, whether he realizes it or not, and just really cool stuff. I mean, out there, just crazy stuff like you'd expect from Fight Club, and really awesome. I'd be sad when this ends. This is real good. Another real good book. This is Guardians of Nowhere, which is actually Guardians of the Galaxy. They just named it differently for Secret Wars. It's number 4, and this is the Brian Michael Bendis Guardians of the Galaxy, which is amazing. And these are the characters from the movie, the newer incarnation of Guardians of the Galaxy. And Bendis, everything he touches is amazing. I just can't find anything that he writes that I don't love. I don't know if I necessarily would have jumped on board for a Guardians series if he wasn't writing it. I like the movie. The movie was awesome, but the characters are okay from in the comic book world anyway for me. But when Bendis gets a hold of them, he can write some really great stories and really develop and flesh out those characters. And there's a strong influence from the movie. So if you like the movie, you'll like this as well. So a couple more issues, and we'll turn back into Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm sure this is just the name of it for the Secret Wars. All right, from Secret Wars to Star Wars. I have a few Star Wars books to talk about, and Marvel's put some A people on these Star Wars books. Like, when I first heard they were taking the Star Wars franchise back, because obviously Marvel and Disney and Star Wars are all the same thing, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool, whatever. I didn't see myself reading these books or buying them, and then I saw the artists and writers they put on them, and I was like, well, maybe I'll check these out. These have been awesome. Like every once in a while, one will come out, and I'll show you in a second as we go through. I'm kind of like, well, I probably won't read that one, but then I read it, and it's great. So this is the regular main title, Star Wars. This is Jason Aaron, who writes Southern Bastards for Image, which is another amazing book. But yeah, this is fantastic. If you haven't been reading it, basically, the storyline here takes place. The original storyline they were showing kind of takes place between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, which is interesting territory. People always talk about Empire and Jedi, what happened between those two, but you don't really see much of what happened between Star Wars and Empire, so it's really cool stuff. And they're branching out into a lot of cool directions with the characters. Really good, well-written. Alright, here's another Star Wars book. This one's Darth Vader, and this one's a little quirky in some ways. I really like this book, though. This might be my favorite of them all. I just love the fact that basically it's about Vader, and he's got his own people around him, his people that he's picked up, different characters, and he's kind of running these subversive missions behind the Emperor's back, sort of thing. Again, this is kind of taking place after Star Wars and before Empire. And just really cool stories, just really fun. It's cool to see his interactions with some of these other people. He's got a couple of droids that are like kind of like psychotic C-3PO and R2-D2, and it's really good. And it's kind of, there's a lot of intrigue and kind of what he's doing, you know, behind the Emperor's back and kind of dealing with the Emperor. And you see definitely a strained relationship between them because the Emperor blames him for the Death Star failure and all that. So, pretty cool book here. And here's yet another one. Now, I didn't start off reading Lando. The third issue came out, and I just saw it on the shelf. And I was in a comic book store. I typically get my books shipped to me, which I think I mentioned in another video. But I was in a comic book store, and they had issue 3 had just come out that day, and then issue 1 and 2 were still available on the shelf. So I was like, oh, just buy these 3 and read them. Because Charles Soule's writing it, and that's what attracted me to it. I was like, wow, he's a good writer. I like Lando as a character. I think there's a lot of potential there. So I picked it up. Really, really well done stuff. This feels almost a little bit like Ocean's 11, sort of. Like, basically, Lando gets hired to wipe out his debt, is kind of the deal. To steal a spaceship, a craft. And he kind of gets his team together, and they come up with a plan, and they steal it from an Empire shipyard. And then turns out it happens to be the Emperor's personal, like, private, like, luxury ship. And it's now, like, the entire Empire is after them. Really cool story. And I think it's 5 parts. This is part 4. But definitely worth picking up, or at least in another few months get the trade. Really good. There's one other book that I think came out a week or 2 ago. It's a new Star Wars book, and Greg Rucka is writing it. And I haven't picked it up yet, but I'm definitely going to, because Rucka is also another fantastic writer. Alright, we're getting down there now. Next is Thief of Thieves. And Thief of Thieves has just been really strong. This is issue 31. Andy Diggle, great writer again. I love this book. This book is awesome. Basically, you know, it's like Ocean's 11 again. I guess I like that kind of heist story. But of course, this time the twist is he's trying to get out of the business, but he gets pulled back in, and then he has to kind of double cross the bad guys sometimes. And yeah, he still ends up getting away with art and whatever else he's stealing. So, pretty awesome stuff. In this latest storyline, one of his accomplices has been captured, and now he's trying to get her free, basically, and he's pulling off some elaborate scam to get her released or proven innocent. So, really awesome stuff. All right, back to Charles Soule. We got Letter 44, and this is by Oni Press, and this is number 20. Wow, I can't believe it's number 20. This book just seemed to fly by. I talk about this one a lot in the last few months, so I won't go into crazy detail again about it, but if you're not reading this, pick this up. Raphael Albuquerque's art is incredible. Charles Soule, just storyline's awesome. Really interesting science fiction, very old school science fiction, mixed with political intrigue. Just great book. Alright, we're getting down now to the last 3. So usually I make the last 3 kind of my picks of the week, or picks of the haul. So I guess these will be picks of the last 3 weeks. So the first one is Fade Out number 9, and this is by Ed Brubaker. Sean Phillips is the artist. This is another phenomenal story. So if you only pick up 3 books out of this haul, this is one of them. It's the just classic Hollywood and just all the horrible stuff that went on, and it's kind of seen through the eyes of a Hollywood writer who gets close to these people, and unfortunately there's a lot of murder and thievery and all that goes on, and kind of what you imagine the old days of Hollywood, and just really well written book. All right, number 2 pick of the week, or the last 3 weeks, is The Walking Dead, and this is 146 of The Walking Dead. And So I want to be careful when I talk about Walking Dead, because I know a lot of people watch the TV show, and I don't want to ruin anything or spoil anything, because in a few years this might be the TV show. So I won't go into crazy detail here, but good story. It's what you'd expect from Walking Dead. Slow burn stuff. Some people criticize the book for being a little too slow. I love the slow burn myself personally. I think it's awesome. And this particular issue kind of continues that. You know, the group's up against a new threat. They're not really sure how to deal with it. The people want to strike back, and Rick knows that that's not smart, that they won't be able to defeat this group. It's just a larger group with better resources. And Eugene is the one who kind of steps up in this issue and says, look, we need to get back at these people for what they've done, but I know just attacking them is not going to be the right way. These other people aren't smart enough. They don't get it. But, you know, let me help you. We'll figure this out. And, you know, I don't know why I love Eugene as much as I do as a character. But Eugene, I find, is just a very intriguing character. And I love the fact that he plays a bigger role in the comic series now. And maybe because of the TV show, he's playing a bigger role in the newer stories in the comic series. But just great stuff. You know, Robert Kirkman does it again. All right, last book, number one pick. And this is Insufferable, and this is number 5. And this is the regular cover. I also picked up the variant cover for this one. I'm not big into variant covers. I think I mentioned this before. I think Insufferable is the only book I actually pick up the variant covers on now. I used to be all into variant covers, but I just hate spending money on the same book over and over again. And finally, I just took a stand and said I'm not doing it anymore. I will occasionally, if I really like the book, or I really like the creative team a lot, or something like that, or the cover's just really cool, I might do it. But for the most part, I try not to. You know, I just feel like it's kind of a cash grab, and really, you know, stores will price them usually based on how rare they are. And you know, let's face it, most times, unless it turns out to be a key issue, they go down in price shortly after you purchase them. Once the next month's issue comes out, people are on to the next thing. So, and cover hunters are on to the next big thing. So, anyway, enough of that. Insufferable. Mark Waid, he's writing a story here that's basically, what if Batman and Robin were in kind of a real world situation, and Robin was, you know, resentful and kind of a jerk to Batman. Batman maybe wasn't the best role model either. And, you know, how would that relationship unfold? They basically split up, and they're out there still trying to fight crime, but they're kind of stepping on each other's toes. And then, you know, it's really awesome stuff. He was the same guy, Mark Waid, who wrote Incorruptible and Irredeemable, which were both incredible. Those are by Boom Comics. This almost feels like it could take place in the same universe as those books, even though it's by IDW. This great stuff. Can't say enough about this storyline. It's also very similar to a book called Sidekick, which I don't know where that stands. It's by J. Michael Straczynski, and it kind of wrapped up, but then one more issue came out. I thought it was over, and then another issue came out, so I kind of hope he keeps doing it, but it's very similar in a lot of ways. It kind of feels like it could fall into the same universe, too, and it's a little more kind of like a sidekick turns evil sort of thing. A little more so than this, maybe, but just reminds me of that book as well. And what's kind of funny is Peter Krause was also the artist on Incorruptible, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and I believe the artist that's on Sidekick was the artist on Irredeemable. So I kind of find that kind of funny that they basically are kind of cannibalizing each other in a way, but the thread between all of them is basically superhero tropes that you kind of know and love, and just what they'd be like in the real world, almost Watchmen-esque. But Irredeemable was about, like, what if Superman just went crazy one day, and of course Incorruptible was like one of Superman's villains turns good because of what Superman's done, and then of course Sidekick and Insufferable are very similar, almost like a superhero sidekick relationship gone bad. So awesome book. I'll show you the variant cover as well that I picked up. Nothing too special about it, but I do like the series quite a bit, so I did want to pick that up. But hey, that's my haul. It's kind of a long video, so sorry about that. I like to try to keep these a little shorter, but like I said, it's 3 weeks worth of books, and hopefully next week I'll be able. Yeah, I'm sure next week I'll be able to do my video as normal, so I should be able to get back on track now that I don't have to do continuous tracking of Magic the Gathering spoilers and stuff on my MTG channel. So, hey, as always, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a good day.